Hi, this is Katrina Cross from Woodrow Handcrafts, and in today's tutorial we'll be working with the Creative Drawing Simple Cut software. We're going to create a reverse applique design that we can use both with our cutter and with our embroidery machine. So the first step is we've opened up the program and we're going to create a new pattern. So we've got create new and then next. So the next step now is our techniques. For this project we're going to be using the cutter and the embroidery techniques. So they're the two that we want to make sure that we've got selected. So we've got the little green dots in the corners, so we know that they're selected now. And next. The next step that comes up is our fabric that we choose to use for the embroidery design. When you use this, it gives you a whole list of different options that you've got, depending on what fabric you choose to use. We're going to use a standard woven fabric, so like a homespun type fabric, and that one comes in under this embroidery normal light. So standard normal light is the subcategory and the type is woven, so we're going to choose that one. And next. So now it comes to ask us where we're going to get our artwork from. For this project you would have had to download the artwork that comes with the notes, so that's the Reverse Applique picture. So we're going to go up here, and depending on where you've got it saved on your computer. So for example, when I'm doing a lot of work, what I do is the artwork that I choose to create my designs with, I create a folder for, so then I know that they're always in that same place and I don't have to go searching through my computer for them. So on our computer here we've got a digital artwork folder. We're going to choose our Reverse Applique picture and OK. So the next step is it comes back to this artwork source screen, because there's a couple of other little categories here that we need to go through. So if you come down the page, about halfway down here you've got a hoop. So remember we're doing an embroidery design with this one, so we want to select our hoop. For the purpose of our tutorial we were using the Janome 15,000 and we were using the the GR hoop. So in the list here you've got Janome 230 by 300 hoop, which is a GR hoop. So that's that one we want selected. If you've got a different model, depending on what hoop you've got, so you've got the Janome list to start with. If you go further down you've got generic brands, you then go into what have we got down here? Baby Lock, Brother, Elna, Juki, Faf, Singer. So depending on which hoop you're using for your machine, you'd select the one for yours. Okay. And then we need to check what cutter mat we've got. So we're using the 12 by 12. If you're using the 15 by 15, you select the 15 by 15 hoop. So we then go next. Okay, so now it comes up and asks us what we actually want to do with our artwork. I like to use the artwork as a backdrop. I don't like to use the trace convert to outline as much. I find that if I use the trace to outline, I don't get a nicer result as I do with the backdrop. So with the backdrop, that gives you more of a manual control over the cuts and the embroidery designs that you want to create. So yeah, with the trace you need to make sure that you've got a real crisp, clear image behind it, whereas yeah, with the backdrop it gives it a bit more leeway in that aspect. So we're going to leave it as backdrop and go to finish. There we go. So now it's come into our hoop. So you can see on the screen here, if I zoom out, you can see the hoop, and you can also see behind the hoop is the mat that we use. Okay. Okay, so the next step is we're going to go in and we're going to create our cutouts. So we're going to come over to our toolbar on the left hand side, and where it says create freehand shape, we want to just bring out that toolbar until we come out to create outline shapes, and we're going to select that one. And we're just going to start at the point, hold it down for a couple of seconds, and then click around to create that curve. So that's this. And then when we get back to the beginning here, we're just going to hold down our click on our mouse. So that's our left hand click, and that will create our shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to turn some of this information off. So we've got rid of our grid, and we're going to get rid of our grid lines. There we go. So that just helps our mouse focus on the places we want to create our cuts. So we're going to start out here. We're going to move around, following our shape. So we want to create a angle here. So we're just going to hold the left click on our mouse down. 1, 2. There we go. Keep clicking around down here. 1, 2. And then back around to where we started. And then 1, 2. And then we're going to come over here to our next one. Hold it down. Click around. 1, 2. For our angle. Like so. And we want to keep doing this until we've got all the black area of our flower created. So we want to create all the cuts for this so all through here. Okay. Okay, so once we've gone through and we've created all our cuts, the next step is we're going to go through and we're going to check and see if there are any that we want to edit. So we've gone up and we've clicked on our edit our shape nodes, and there's one up here. So we're just going to pull that line out. So we're just holding down our left click on our mouse. Let's have a look. Sticky feet through. That's one up here. So we zoom in. So I'm just going to hold down and drag it out. Let's have a look. Okay, so once we've gone through and we've checked that all our editing's done and we're happy with that, the next step is we're going to come up here and we're going to select rectangle. Okay, so now that we've got that at that final stage, you can see that there's like a grid on here, so that's what currently set up as the embroidery stitches. So we're going to go through that and change that to an applique. So over here in the object properties, we're going to change from a net fill to an applique. And you'll see that then it goes through and it changes. Okay, so you can see now that we've got a little, okay. So what we're going to do in our object properties, we're going to select our fabric trim and we're going to change that to a pre-cut because we want to make sure that we cut it first with the cutter, then take it to the embroidery machine. We're going to select fabric with fusible webbing. And what we're going to do is we're going to come down here and we're going to change the colour. So you want to select just a red. Okay. And what that does, that then gives us access. We can change our stitches. So if you zoom in now, we've just got a stitch line around the outside. Okay, so go back up here, select all. Okay, so over in our object properties, we're going to switch over to where the pencil is, and then that opens up this aspect. So you've got what they call a running stitch, so you can put like little decorative stitches over it. You've got your standard applique, but we're going to go with our satin. So we're changing to satin. So now you can see that if we zoom in close, you can see that we've got a satin stitch on it. We're going to select our underlay and we're going to change our underlay to zigzag. So what that does now is when it's going to go around and stitch down the cutout pieces, it's going to go like a zigzag over the edge. So that's going to give it a better foundation for our embroidery stitch to go over the top of, and it's going to hold the layers of fabric together for you. So that's something that you need to think about. What else have we got? Okay. So what we're going to do, while we've got it all selected, we're going to come up here to our outline and we're going to change our outline to 0.08. So you can see now that on these stitches, as we've adjusted our outline, we've got a nice thick satin line going around our design now. So what that means is when we go to stitch it out, you're going to have a nice clean wide satin stitch over those loose pieces. Okay, so we're going to go around, and while we've got our satin stitch out, we're just going to check like all our corner pieces and check that we've got satin lines that we want. So see down here we've got, if we click on this one, if we drag this one out a bit, so if we go over here to edit and pull him out, there we go. I've got a stitch over here. Let's see what's going on over here on this one. There we go. Pull him out a bit. Don't like what he's done there, so I'm just going to adjust this out. So, there we go. So happy with all those. So check these ones. Yep, they're all nice and covered. We don't have anything that's overlapping. Oops, so we've got one up here. So see how that jumps out like that? We need to adjust that out. So we're going to just pull this fella out. Like so. And see how it's now changed all that stitch for us. There we go. And this one as well. So we'll just pull them out a bit. So that's looking pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with that. So now what we're going to do is, I've got it all selected here, but so we come up here. There we go. So see how we've only got one layer in our sequence. Okay, we want to break him up. So we're going to click on here. So that's just a right click. And we want to break apart. So now that gives us all our different layers of our cutter. Okay. So once we've done that, we can then go up and we can export to our cutter. So File, Export, Export to Cutter, Send to Cutter, and Connect. So when you send it across to the cutter, what we need to do is, we've drawn up that crosshair on the fabric that you're going to use. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the center crosshair. So once we've sent it across to the cutter and we've cut it all out, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our software and we're going to line up our laser points with the center of our fabric. And now what we want to do is, because we've created an embroidery stitch, we're going to need to send that embroidery design across to our USB. So we go up to File and we go back to Export, but this time we go down to Export to Janome Memory Craft 15,000. So we click on that one and then it brings up our USB. So we're going to double click on that, open up our folder, so our EMBF folder. We've got Reverse Applique flower name, and we're going to send it across. So yes, we want to place the one on there. So once it does its thing, once it's gone away, the design's now on your USB. If you don't have the Memory Craft 15,000, you have a different model, you can send it across through the 12. So if you don't have a Janome machine and you have another brand, what you need to do is go up to File, you need to Export, you need to take it into Editor and then save it into the format that your machine reads, and then you'll be able to put it over on USB. So if you've got the Janome is an easier transfer system, but if you have other brands, you can transfer it across. It's just a couple of extra steps in the process.